Unmuted.
All right, welcome. Calling to order the Planning and Zoning Commission for Thursday, August 28th, 2025. What was that?
That we were getting feedback and there was sound on somebody's
Okay.
device.
So we're still the Planning and Zoning Commission on Thursday, August 28th at 2025 at 5:30 PM. Roll call. Alicia.
Alicia Benton here.
Todd Brown.
Kathy Green.
Angela Dye.
Charles Dalton.
And
Herb Kloppenberg.
our new member. Sheriff.
Peter Sante, if you can hear me.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can. Welcome.
What are you if we can't hear you?
Just glad to be heard.
All right.
I don't know why it's only showing his picture, but
What was that, Piper?
I haven't figured out why it's only showing Peter on the screen rather than the room,
Oh,
but I'm working on that.
okay, very good. We'll go on with approval of minutes for July 24th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion unless there's some edits. Kathy.
I move to approve the July 24, 2025 minutes as presented.
Second.
Todd seconds.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor? Very good. All of us. Do we need to read names? Or are we good? It's unanimous.
Yeah, you are for P and Z, we're supposed to do a roll call vote.
Okay,
And since
we have two alternates that don't vote.
right, so
correct?
the alternates will not vote, but Peter will, he's online.
Okay, so Sheriff and Lishay, if you could refrain. So Kathy,
Yes.
Todd,
Todd, yes. Charles, yes.
Angela, yes. Peter?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Any staff announcements?
We do not have staff announcements at this.
No staff announcements.
Do you have?
Um, Actually, would you like to make the introduction or one way or
We
the?
have a new member,
Yes.
Sheriff Kloppenberg. I don't want to get that right.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome. Appointed between the last meeting and this one, I guess, right? Would you give us just a little bit of background on yourself and why you're a member of P and Z now?
Happy to. Well, I wanted to get more involved in local politics. I've lived here a long time and I've been mom of young kids and felt like the time was right now. I've lived in Telluride since 2008. And since 2009, I've had a business, an architectural design business called SK4 Designs. And we do a wide variety of projects in the region. And I also contract with some architects from other ski towns. I have two kids, Otto's 13 and Enzo's 8. And my 16-year-old dog, Ziggy, who most people know more than me, and my husband, Eric Adolfi. And we have lived in Entrada, affordable housing unit, for 16 years, which has been my main involvement with politics here. And I volunteer pretty widely throughout the community. For example, for TAB and for art and architecture, and as a coach for the Nordic team, and one-to-one, the adaptive ski program. And then I also substitute teach in English and in Spanish. I am fluent in Spanish, which I hope is something I can bring to this board. And just a little cheat sheet for my name. It's pronounced a lot like cherub, or carob. And then Kloppenberg, you're just on your own. It's Dutch.
Oh, is it?
My
Okay.
father is Dutch, yes.
Cool. Thank you and welcome. Any questions for Sheriff? Okay, great. I want to add to the roll call that we have Piper as our clerk tonight. We have Ben and Kristen as planning staff and Elena representing council. And is this on the screen? We're going to not see Peter, or is that his choice?
His computer monitor was bouncing around pretty vigorously there for a moment, so I
Okay.
stopped his video, but he can start it again.
Okay, good to know. Next item, public comment. I don't think we have anybody. Do we have anyone online?
We do.
Okay. Raise your hand, use that function for Zoom if you want to enter a public comment for non-agenda items. And we will hear you.
No hands raised.
No, no hands. Okay. Then we'll go to our work session, comprehensive plan work session for 2025 comprehensive plan update project phase 1 status update with Kristen, and then followed by a previous master plan review by Ben Tribble, our planner 2. Okay.
Thank you so much. So while we have this opportunity with the P&Z, we would like to give you an update on what's been happening so far with our comprehensive plan consulting team. And I am thrilled that Ben will then present and facilitate a discussion with you about the past master plan and how we've moved forward from there, successes, opportunities. So just to kick us off really briefly, I'll get us started. Here we are in terms of, you've seen this before, we're moving along up the first mountain there of phase 1. Our comprehensive plan consulting team, we meet with them weekly, staff-wise, sometimes more than once a week, depending on what's going on. They are doing a review of all existing plans, pulling together lots of data to ensure that they're up to speed on the current state of our community. And a lot of that involves Ben, not this Ben, but GIS Ben on the consulting team, who is putting together data layers, resources, and he's actually going to present to you at the next P&Z meeting a really wonderful digital resource that he's developing for community engagement. And it'll be part of our process in developing the plan, but I'm also hoping that ultimately we won't just result in a paper printed plan, but we'll have a very interactive, living, breathing, comprehensive plan on our website that people can engage with over the years ahead as we implement that plan. So he will be here next meeting. Quick update on community engagement, just to loop you all in. As you know, first, that 380 people participated in an engaged way in our comprehensive plan kickoff week events. So coming out of that, at all of our in-person and virtual events thus far, as well as moving forward into the future, we will have English and Spanish speaking staff. That's including our consulting team at all of these events. So far, this is like hot off the press update, 285 responses so far to the first comprehensive plan input survey. We have decided to keep that input survey open until the end of September because it's a really important one focused on core values and our vision. And then we will probably have monthly sort of faster hit surveys on specific topics after that. The survey is available in both English and Spanish on our comprehensive plan engage page, which you can reach from the Telluride homepage to those members of the public who may be out there. As I mentioned, first survey focused on vision and core values. We are sending out eBlast updates in both English and Spanish. There will be a Spanish language focused eBlast that will go out by end of day tomorrow. That really promotes that Spanish language version of the survey and additional ways to engage. Also, this was actually just yesterday, Rocio from the Logan Simpson consulting team, who is our Spanish language key point person at all of these events and contributing so much to the project. She and I participated in a CAFE meeting yesterday afternoon. It was virtual, and Rocio did a presentation on the comprehensive plan, that high-level update that we've used through many engagement opportunities, answered questions. Sure, Angela.
Can you explain Kathy?
Sure. I hope I'm going to get it right.
Do you want me to?
If you could, because you're on the, yes, I
Yeah.
would like that.
So it's Collaborative Action for Immigrants, and it's our immigrant advocacy group, and it's under the umbrella of Telluride Foundation. So they're
Okay.
kind of like the go-to organization if you want to connect with the immigrant population, anyone in the Spanish-speaking community. They have a lot of trusted community members who sit on that board. So that's kind of our best
Go-to for outreach, right?
yeah, exactly. So that was a really great, I'm glad you guys came to that meeting.
Nice, and
That
I'm,
was helpful.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you were
The reason
there.
I mention it is
Yes.
for the recording.
Absolutely, and I would have gotten it right, but I'm so glad that I wasn't put on the spot. So, and what was wonderful is actually a member of the sort of leadership team of CAFE had reached out and met with Lindsay, Zoe, and myself. So Lindsay, of course, communications manager, Zoe, town manager, to have an initial conversation talking about Spanish language engagement, like engaging the Spanish-speaking community more fully in the comprehensive plan. We shared updates on what had been done thus far in terms of that engagement piece and the planning moving forward, and sought lots of input on how to best engage and develop programming in the next year that's really going to succeed in really hearing from our entire Telluride community and make sure everyone feels their voices are heard fully. And so from that, they invited Rocio and myself to attend the CAFE meeting, and that's where an update was provided. And it was also a great discussion where a number of excellent suggestions were brainstormed by participants. I could share some of those if you'd like, or put them together in a summary, because that will become part of the community input to the broader comprehensive plan. So moving on from there, as you all know, community input is central to ensuring the plan reflects Telluride's collective vision. Always good for us to focus on that aspect. Also reminding this group, but also the public, that on the Engage Telluride page, which you access from the homepage of Telluride's town website, the comprehensive plan update link is right there. It's one of the featured projects right on the homepage of Engage Telluride. Then if you click through there, and you may have all looked at this, but just to make sure we're fully tuned in so we can communicate with the wider community as to what's available, there's I will tell you what's there because it's hard to see, but then you can look independently. There's a project overview and discussion about the difference between the vision plan and the comprehensive plan, what the process is, where we are today. And in that right-hand sidebar, this is just the first half of the page, so I will click and show you the second half. But right at the top are the links to the survey, one in English, one in Spanish. There's a community engagement map. I'll show you what that looks like if you haven't seen it yet. And then key dates. So as we add more events and programs moving forward, they will go there. And then lower down on the page, there is information about how to get involved, how to stay informed, how to participate in one-on-one conversations, etc. And in addition, there are these links to a number of things, including the 2023 Community Vision and Action Plan, the 2026 Telluride Master Plan, et cetera. And then in the bottom right, there is a link to the Town of Telluride Comprehensive Plan Community Engagement Plan. I'm going to give you a quick glimpse of that now, but I would recommend that everyone in this group give that a read, because it's sort of under development, input is sought, but this is the public-facing engagement plan describing the comprehensive plan that our consulting team developed. It was reviewed by staff, but developed the brunt of the work was our comprehensive plan consulting team. So just to show you this, I don't know if you've all gone to that Engage page yet, but I want to show you this just so you can, again, share it with your networks and encourage people to contribute. So this is a map that you can access. It's called the Community Engagement Map from the Engage page. And when you go here, you can, if you wish to, click on a specific area of town and input a comment about your thoughts for opportunities, ways to further. An example would be the community gathering spaces. You may think, oh, this is an opportunity we haven't seized. You can actually go onto this map, click, enter your input. All of that gets collated and utilized by the comprehensive planning team, our staff and consultants, as we move forward in thinking about the future land use map and the comprehensive plan overall. So it's an interactive tool, and these tools, again, consultant Ben, GIS Ben, is working on developing more and more tools for the town to be able to best engage as many members of the public as possible early on. So this is a really neat opportunity. And again, he'll be here next time to share other things he's working on.
Or is this like a screenshot of
This
it,
is a
or
screenshot. So
It's
this
like-
is,
it's on there right now?
yeah, this is just, yes, so this is just a screenshot, and I can have actually GIS Ben, when he's here for you next meeting, show you this as well in terms of the input being received, et cetera, in a more active way. So now, just briefly, I want to bring this group together before we move back on the reflection of the past master plan and talk about next steps for community engagement. So recently in a meeting with Lindsay and the comprehensive planning team, we discussed having a virtual community advisory committee meeting, sort of second take of that group in September 2025. We weren't able, due to scheduling, to get everyone who is a member of that community advisory committee to the table. And so we would, so we would very much like to offer a virtual way for it, hopefully a good time, if we can figure it out, to get everybody together just to like catch up that group. And again, that includes representatives from each of our commissions, representative from CAFE and a few other key stakeholder groups in the community, as well as town council representative, et cetera. And we'd gone over that group before, but so we'll have a second take. And secondly, the virtual in-person stakeholder engagement sessions. We had those in person during the comprehensive plan kickoff. Again, we would love to engage more people in those topics, in those discussions. So we may revisit topics that were part of that first round and then add topics for roundtable stakeholder discussions. So topics from the in-person that we might also hold as virtual or hybrid sessions to broaden the engagement were and will be land use and built environment, historic preservation and cultural heritage. Second was environment and sustainability, parks and open space. The third stakeholder roundtable discussion group was local and visitor economy, tourism, recreation, small business resilience. Next was housing, childcare, education, schools, youth programming, and community services. Then infrastructure, multimodal trail network, walkability, transit, parking, transportation systems. These are very broad categories to try to engage a robust discussion. Next was cultural activities, festivals, lifelong learning, nonprofits, health, well-being, community support, quality of life. And so those were the 7 that were part of that initial kickoff. We talked recently about holding those again virtually, broadening them, and engaging more people in discussing these key topics. We could change some of these if there was input to do so, but we can also add any such topics discussions as we'd like in the next year. So one thing we've heard strong interest in, and we were already planning to do this, but we're going to really be strategic and probably have this be in person and perhaps with a virtual option, but a Spanish language facilitated roundtable discussion on key opportunities, key challenges, as well. A youth engagement focused facilitated session to bring our youth together and make sure we're hearing voices from people of all ages in our community. That's our next generation of Telluride. So making sure we bring them into the process early. And that one we would love to hold at the Voodoo Shed as a starting point. And then we can think, we can connect with the schools and take that, in any direction we want to expand it in. I would love to hear from this group other topics for roundtable discussions that you feel are missing from these broad categories and or that are part of these broad categories, but where you feel like a very specific targeted discussion should take place with community members in the year ahead. another question is additional ideas for community engagement. We've brainstormed a number here and a number in other discussion groups, and those will be woven into that community engagement plan that I pointed you to on our website because it's evolving. But we want to make sure really early on that we don't miss great opportunities. And that could be, again, you sharing, here's a really special event. This brings together this unique population in our community. You would be remiss not to have a pop-up booth at this location at this time, et cetera. Because we don't want to miss those chances where people are gathering. And you know, the events venues for engagement kind of ties into that. So I'd welcome any.
Are we at that point?
We are. Any further input, ideas that you might want to share would be welcome now or later, but while we're here and moving this forward quickly, there's a lot of momentum right now.
Before we start, have you had any of those virtual or in-person stakeholder engagement?
Yes. So, so the first 7 bullets there were the topics that were the roundtable discussions during that kickoff week, which we held in the library.
What kind of attendance?
So we
What
had.
did they say?
Nope. So what I should do, okay, next meeting with this group, because I always hear questions and I can come back with a summary of input received. That is no problem. So we will do that next time at our next meeting.
Let me ask that same question
Sure.
differently.
Sure.
Did you hear anything that said what we did in the 2023 vision was wrong?
We did not hear that.
Okay.
We did not hear that as a categorical, like, no, there was a lot of
Going
support.
down the same path. we're not
Yes.
Taking a side.
There was a lot of support for the community vision, and that was in the pop-ups, that was in the roundtables, that was throughout.
So-
And we can definitely articulate, that's a great idea to have that touch point of you knowing input that's been coming in, so we can do a succinct summary for the
So we
next
continue
meeting.
on the same page.
Yes.
That's good confirmation.
I feel we lightly talked, like in our last meeting, I mean,
Sure.
during the comprehensive plan, during whatever that meeting was during the week, we had given some light context on conversations that we were having, but they were not as like focused, but we did get a touch on some of them. I know that we had a light conversation about meeting places, a lot about the business factors, and during that conversation, I think that was a large one around the housing, childcare, and education. I was part of one of those stakeholder tables, and I think turnout was, I don't know what the percentage was, but I mean, it was a table of like 8 different folks in the community. And so I think getting more outreach to more people on the same subject matter would be really valid.
As a starting point, I think for all of us, it would be helpful to have the bullet points of what people said
Absolutely.
when that was held and according to each one of those topics. So then we know where we might need to add or encourage people to kind of fill that discussion out. Maybe not all topics represented, for instance.
Great suggestion. And we also, I think it's challenging. We held our kickoff, and this is a reflective, we held our kickoff in July. Challenging time, very busy time in Telluride. We needed to get this started, and that was, rather than waiting, we wanted the momentum to get going, but mornings in the summer are challenging. So we didn't get as high turnout as we had hoped for those stakeholder roundtables. So we feel that it would be important to not have these topics just be one-time discussions, but have further opportunities to engage. And again, we can break them up and, however we wish to do that. But yes, and Angela, great suggestion. We will get that done.
So let's stop a minute. What
Great.
about other topics for roundtables?
My choice of words is no. No,
That's a lot.
We spent a lot of time on what to put in here. And if nothing is crawling out of the weeds and biting us on the ankles, let's not make it any
More
worse than
complicated.
it has to be.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Great.
Anybody else?
I find some of the groupings are a little cuckoo, but
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, we were trying to bring in,
cultural activities and health and well-being. I mean, that's
we could split that up.
pretty different
Good one.
to, people have different For some, it's cultural stuff, and for some of them, it's all about health and well-being and whatever. So,
And I will admit that the limited number of groups was based on having the library space, room for 3 sessions at the same time, and our consulting team only here for a brief window of opportunity. So we did combine, but we can definitely separate for future deeper dives. 100% like that direction. Yes.
Well, and along that line, if something gets identified that we want to have some sort of roundtable or session about, and they're not available,
Uh-huh.
let us do it and we can
Yes.
feed it to them.
Absolutely. And that's something staff has discussed as well internally. We're not going to wait until the next opportunity for that consulting team to be here because they're only coming 2 more times. But we absolutely working in collaboration, and especially if we have members of our team who are interested in supporting that effort, we can definitely make that happen. And we could then do them one at a time versus having to lump a lot of topics together. So maybe one thing I could do is I'd be interested in just seeing which you prioritize for further discussion. So that's something maybe we could do as a little follow-up
Let's
poll.
finish the other topics for
Sure.
tables. Anything
Please.
more? So what was that sub-question?
I think I'd love to start to hear from this group some of your priorities for the deeper dives. And that'll come through, I think, in Ben's facilitated discussion next as well a bit. So topical.
Okay, well, I
Like-
think,
rate these 1 through 9.
To a certain extent, I know that we can't have sessions on each one individually, but knowing as you came out of the last comprehensive plan and all the changes in the community since, which areas we should really focus on.
well, let's hold that
Yeah,
back
and that can
at
come
this
later.
point. The other thing, I think it'd be helpful to know what people said about those
Yes,
before we kind of tend to prioritize
great.
within this small group.
That
Tom?
sounds great.
That's fine.
Um,
As I said, when we were over under the bra that morning, as a planner engineer, my mind goes to the master plan and land use code primarily, and all these other elements are there. They have to be there, but what comes out the other end of this in terms of documentation and legislation, in my mind, tends to be around land use code more than a lot of other things. So
okay,
that's,
good to know.
Very
It's a great
important.
intro for a book.
yeah.
Yeah.
Under the prow that morning. On the right.
So, other ideas for community engagement? Yes, Todd.
I applaud the youth engagement piece and the Spanish language. We have a 20, 30 something population that's huge that we don't get. I mean, we don't get contact with very well.
Can you clarify the 2030 population? I didn't understand the 20.
Year olds, 20,
Oh, I got
30
you.
year
Okay.
old, who are either starting their careers and they're
Hanging out.
working on families and all the things that young people do, if I can remember. And they're busy and they have a hard time coming to these kinds of things. So, we've got the Kodo Street Dance coming up, and we've got
Live at the Drive.
Live at the Drive, and we've got Rocky Horror, and where we're more likely to get some of that element showing up. And I wouldn't try to pull people out from something like that and say, let's have a group right now, but be a presence that is more than just a QR code.
I think that's really important. And so we have the youth, which, categorize, what ranges that includes, but then certainly the early career as a category, and then also perhaps in a separate group or somewhere in there are the young families and thinking about bringing together. And I think we can be very strategic. I know when we were speaking with representatives from CAFE, having childcare as part of the programming we offer arose there, and that would be the same for anyone, if we wanted to engage young families broadly, let's come up with strategies to make it easy for them to engage with us, and we can talk through that for sure. Great suggestion.
Go ahead.
Um,
This is a free.
another board that
Yes.
I'm on, we were talking about the young, what I call the young adults. I don't mean the 18-year-olds. I mean the 20 up to 30 or something year olds, and how we're not intersecting well with them, and it's really difficult. But you're using words that scare me because you said career and you said family. And I think of my tenants, and I think of a lot of the people that age, and they're living in group housing. They're working 2 or 3 jobs. They're here to ski and to ride their bikes and whatever. And so that's the group that I think we totally miss. And we have no programs, or we have very few programs in our community to assist them. And I feel like they're extremely overlooked, and they're often very stressed out. And so that's a group that we have ignored for decades.
I appreciate you flagging that. I think that's so important.
So, yeah,
Especially if
and
we've been overlooking.
Career, I mean, a lot of people are not entirely right for a career. They might grow into a career
Mhm,
almost by accident.
mhm.
But we need to, don't approach it as a career. And I don't know anybody in that age group that would show up unless you were offering them a career in film or something, they wouldn't come. So wrong word.
Wrong word.
To
Gotcha.
to capture, I mean,
Not use
as
that.
young adult, I feel like also that might be, maybe there should be some word shopping there, but like,
Yeah.
do you have other
Turn
descriptors?
around and ask Ellen.
Ellen does one of those.
She's one of them.
But, I mean, we also have that group, sometimes it's local kids, sometimes it's other people that they're 18 or 19 and they're out of high school and they're not gonna go off to a 2-year school or a 4-year school or any kind of specialized advanced education, or they're not gonna do it for 5 years till they figure it out. So that's the whole age group that's kind of like 19 to, whenever in their 30s. In some cases it goes longer, but they're, they have a very different viewpoints and very different goals and what they want. And how you get them involved is, I think, hard.
Oh, really important. Thank
Any
you.
ideas from this?
So
side of the
like,
table?
but also what Angela or what Todd, have a booth at the Kodo Street Dance if you can. Get people to do surveys, get people to become involved. And definitely do childcare. Do childcare at every CAFE event, but do childcare at any event where you're trying to engage parents so they can all come and not, have to make a hard choice.
Any ideas over here? I was thinking about the, a lot of these folks do have jobs. Can we, go to some of the, a host of different businesses and say, we'd really like to talk to your workforce. Can we somehow fit this in? And, open it up to, like a 15-minute discussion where they're at their place of work, not, with the bosses in the room, but just because of that age group. Same maybe with, some of the outreach to the Hispanic community, excuse me, where we need to go to them because they're not going to be able to take the time to come to us. That's one idea. The other thing, I've been through a lot of these comprehensive plans, and oftentimes there is a whole speaker series that deals with what is cutting edge on the various different topics. And that will draw different elements of the community. I think it's been very effective in terms of sharing information and getting people to share their thoughts about that subject. And it is a draw to a certain degree. So I think some consideration on that. We might have to talk about what of those might work, but 5 or 6 special speakers on different kinds of topics that are appealing to the populations that we can't really seem to get to. The rest of us will come anyway because it'll be interesting. So I don't know. Yeah, sure.
I think an event where you'll find a lot of that demographic is the ski swap. Lots of people standing in line. And also the Shandoka parking lot.
Yeah, just on a regular basis.
Yeah. People just keeping an eye on their kids, waiting for the goose. Walking, because there's a whole bunch of affordable housing there. Are you surveying everyone? And they don't have to be living here, right?
There's a question as to where.
So there's always kind of this critical mass of people that are at the main bus stops as the buses going to the satellite communities come through around 5.
Yeah, from
And
4 to
6.
about 5:30,
Yeah,
the bus
The
stops.
Lawson
Yeah.
are going to
Wilson, Rico, and Norwood.
Our consultants, when the next time they're here, they were talking about, and staff would be involved too, but maybe riding the buses
Right.
during commuting times, like just to have that, bit of time to have those conversations as another possibility. But I love the idea of the bus stop. I mean, we could do it more often if we were at the stopping points and at the right times. So that's something we could supplement.
And the transfer station out in Lawson, I guess, as well.
at the transit center.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people just run carpools through there too. They're not necessarily getting on a bus. And the brewery, I mean, there's tons of people in 20 to
There'll
30,
be
the brewery.
A kind of an end of summer party at the brewery. I don't know whether it's around the 1st of October. I'm not sure what day. You'll have to check with Tommy Thatcher out there. And it's a huge event and lots of people come. And that would be a great place to have our own little booth. There's all kinds of food, there's music, there's tons of little kids running around. The other place that's kind of interesting is the laundromat.
At Lawson,
In
right?
Lawson, yeah. There's a lot of campers, people that are camping in the region that come through there. There's a lot of people that don't have a washer and dryer at home that come and do their personal laundry. And there's a ton of people that are in the property management business rotating through there with, carloads of sheets and towels and stuff like that. And they speak both English and Spanish, and that, you could just put somebody at the laundromat for a couple of days and learn a whole lot.
Excellent. Thank you so much for this. Angela, I want to follow up with you at some point on your speakers ideas.
Yes.
I've planned a lot of programs like that, and I feel like instead of just the roundtables, we could elevate by having some presenters on the topic
Yeah.
and then the roundtable discussion that maybe brings a lot of your ideas together. So further thought on all of the above. If anyone's excited to join staff out at one of these sites at any point and volunteer for a couple hours, engaging, let us
Yeah.
know, but no pressure because you all do so much for the community already.
Giveaways.
Yeah.
A sticker with the QR code, maybe.
Swag.
Yeah, light swag, not too much plastic.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying, I've forced the Ecology Commission to do the trash bash without swag. I don't think the town needs to be giving out swag ever in any situation. It's just more junk we don't need. It's more stuff that ends up in a landfill, and I think we need to rise above that. I think that's a key part of our
Meaningful swag, how about that? Or consumables.
our consumable swag works, but it's just,
Yeah.
A
I never
sticker is
did
what
that.
I was thinking, not
To
Yeah.
soon.
QR.
Yeah.
Peter, any ideas?
I am enjoying the conversation. I, like Todd, am a little more focused probably on the land use code and the built environment. But this is all very interesting, and this kind of the personal dynamic of how to connect with people where they are. I'm intrigued by. I don't have any insights. It does occur to me. I don't know like where construction people necessarily would be, or that they'd be all that giving in a questionnaire either. But Kathy, when I worked for you 30 years ago, you know, everybody in your carpentry crew had a PhD, or, you know, were rock climbers and all of the like, and had always adventures and interesting things going on. I don't know if job sites are quite that dynamic, or it seems like it might be a little different, but I don't know if that demographic is missing or hard to find.
Clark's.
Yeah.
Clark's.
Clark's at lunchtime.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a showing of dishwashers in Kings or whatever on, September 9th, 10th? 9th is gonna be outside on the street, whether we want to try, I mean, whether we can be there for that and interact with anybody that might bring out a very different, more like the old bone construction crew guys, I don't know. Yeah, something like that, but I mean, we need to watch for those quirky events. And the Rocky Horror Picture Show is a great example, but there's more of those as I think of them. It's hard. And I don't know how you're gonna get, you know, most of the businesses I know, they work 7 days a week. They have long hours, you know, so they have 2 shifts of workers 7 days a week at a restaurant. Maybe they're closed a day or two. You're never gonna get, they never get all their employees in one location at one time. I don't see how you would ever get that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Telsky has some kind of mandatory training and safety meetings, but you're not gonna find that, you know, maybe at the school, but you're not gonna find that in the, you know.
Unless you want to show up at the kickoff for each shift, but then you
Yeah.
have to have the shift time perfectly, and you need to
Yeah.
have a 5-minute spiel, and you got to be in and out. And no one wants to do
No,
that.
it's not gonna, and they don't all come in. I mean, the shift turnover is some kind of staggered. It's not
Yeah.
a lot of places.
So you had a third question up there.
I think actually you covered all of them with
Okay,
this conversation because it was events, venues for engagement. That was perfect. Thank you so much for your
When
input.
we're out there,
Please.
the free box.
Oh, the
Great.
free box.
Yeah.
I feel like that 20-30 demographic,
Mhm.
that's where I like run into a lot of people.
Great
And
idea.
the laundromat at Shandoka, because that serves all of the people that live in all the employee housing down there. It's probably, I mean, I see the one at Lawson, but I don't have any reason to go to the one at Shandoka. I don't know how wacko it is, but I know how busy the one out there is.
You know, in a laundromat, you're sitting around waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
So why not?
Captive
Have a
audience.
conversation.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you.
Speaking
Oh.
of captive audience, we should
Yeah,
go to the
Carol.
post office right before closing, because
Yeah.
you could go in there and talk to people as well.
What is that?
We were talking about captive audiences, and
Yes.
post office right before they close, there's about 20 people waiting. You could
Monday
easily,
morning.
yeah, talk to them. So
Yeah, except you don't want them in a stressful mood.
usually everyone's very
Want 'em in
happy.
contemplative
Yeah,
mode.
They made it.
yeah.
Charles.
It might be a little late, but Telsky, you know, has orientation meetings for most of the staff, you know, the lifties, the yellow coats, the trail safety, all those groups. And so you've got them in a captive group over there for sometime in November, but that may be a little late.
No, that's great. So a lot of this engagement will take place like a little bit after the summer, so that right before things, right in that in between. So this is perfect. Thank you. Okay, so now I think it's time to transition to Ben, looking back, a reflection on the prior master plan, which is something you had requested at the last meeting, and Ben's worked really hard to prepare for this. So thank you, Ben.
I'm gonna hand, I'm tripping over cords. This is
Thank you.
the very back end of the 2006 master plan. It's their implementation. This is more for just reading material, keeping up as I summarize some items we can check off. We can talk about items on there. Did they get done? Did they not? Were they important? Were they not?
I need a copy of that.
Yes, you know what? I made 7, so there you have it. And we don't need that because we know it by heart. All right.
You can send one to Peter to review later.
Yes, Peter, I will send you that.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll hit the highlights for you though.
I will be summarizing this and we'll be able to go over. This is more for you guys to digest on your own time. Okay. And then Piper, can I get permission to? Awesome, thank you.
Please remember to speak into the mic.
All right, double click to, all right, here we go. Can everyone see this? All right, so this is just our intro page, the 2006 master plan. Recap, planning department, Kristen Clothier and Benjamin Tribble. So the 2006 master plan was a comprehensive and long-range vision that held community in orange as a central value. Documented in a list of deliverables from the A through Y on how to maintain, support, preserve, and sustain Telluride in the present and into the future. That is a very succinct and short summary of the 55-page documentation, but this is a very quick excerpt as we want to get your input over it. So what I gave you guys, I'd love for you to read over later on, but this is a very high level of those deliverables during the plan. We'll be asking you afterwards about, you know, what was that process like if you were around for it? What were things that out of the values from low to high, were they appropriate? Were we focused in, you know, different areas or, you know, opportunities where we could have, you know, might have missed and leveraged this round? So in the low bucket, you know, I've kind of mixed and matched the actual order of these. There's no importance of, you know, high to low, but we had urban design, an educational program around planting appropriate species and preserving planting in land use. And I'm going to be reading all this because it's very tiny over there. I don't want you to, don't strain your eyes. Around land use, we had refining the hillside development area along with comprehensive drainage plans, central storage and terminal facilities in the commercial areas. There was historic preservation, a plaque system that designates structures of community interest and importance. We had annexations on that list and circulation, implement a roundabout at society term. So that was kind of out of the list. I think it's 8 pages worth. Those were kind of all that were in the low bucket. And medium.
Can we talk about these as we go, or do you want to come back to them?
I'd love to summarize this real quickly, but I mean, if it's
Okay.
fresh to you and you want to, we can chop it up however you wish.
You want to keep going?
Yeah,
Okay.
keep going, and then we
Good.
might have to.
All right. So in the medium bucket, we had transportation, exploring regional transit authority and monitor transit services for patterns to maximize circulation relating to parking, delivery, snow removal, business, etc. Intercept parking and a park and ride opportunity. In urban design, we had amend the LUC guidelines surrounding dark sky communities and in Telluride. Also, there was a note about public art program. In Parks and Recreation, develop a regional partnership in creating rec community facility for all seasons. Historic preservation incentive programs to enhance preservation, zoning incentive, and energy conservation measures. In land use, we had create programs / incentives to encourage absentee residential owners of non-short-term rentals to rent or encourage other uses of their units. That was a very interesting one. Public improvements, underground utilities, and future right-of-ways for parks, plazas, and pedestrian uses. So that was the gist of the medium bucket. In high, we had affordable housing. This was a large, if you read underneath it, they actually had quite a few timelines, and I'm just surmising this all together, but securing sites and generating up to 300 plus or minus units over a time frame from 2004 to 2020. Historic preservation, conduct annual training for boards and commissions, along with updating guidelines. Land use, protecting open lands and maintaining open space, sub-area plans, working on amendments in the land use code for residential and commercial uses. Urban design had landscaping design guidelines as high. Parking, evaluate and amending parking requirements for developments. Circulation, appropriate location for visitor center with parking patterns and a town bike lane along West Colorado. There were items for environmental preservation and restoration, economic development, and an excerpt on culture and education. So that is a very quick summary to get kind of the juices flowing. I mean, that is inside of the master plan of what they were aiming to deliver. I wanted to kind of ask you guys as a group, and Angela had said in a previous kind of short meeting about what has actually got completed. In this conversation too, is it appropriate in that kind of last, 2006 master plan of, rating some of these as low versus high? And as we go into the comprehensive plan, if most of these have been completed, are they valid to be built on or move on, and how we focus ourselves in the future, especially on rating our deliverables? So if anyone wants to go for it, I don't know.
Shall we take the high first?
Or the low. Well, I was gonna say, as I listened to that and thought back on it, what we did get done
Yeah.
is smart.
Yes, the region.
And it's not just town, it's regional.
Yeah.
Which is,
It was even a medium, just a medium.
well, it fell in several different places.
Right.
Yeah.
But kind of everything else.
Well,
Urban design, I think we failed miserably.
Mm.
I think some of these just never were addressed at all.
well, this is where it shows that we never addressed early childhood education at all. Totally forgot about that. The roundabout at Society Turn was really important. There used to be, there were a lot of crashes there, and there were always trucks coming down the hill too fast and taking out all the utility boxes that were right on the uphill side as you went up to the airport. I mean, I cannot tell you how many outages we had because another truck had hit a utility box. So, and it was a big deal to our region, not just to the town, to do something where we would not have a stoplight. So I think that was a real accomplishment. It wasn't easy.
I found that interesting too on like, I was intrigued by also the rating of like low to high in the sense of like, is it almost low lying fruit where they could easily, it was of high importance to the region, but they were like, we could actually do this pretty easily in the sense of priority where it's like, oh, if we had time, we could actually install and it would be a big win. When I was thinking about that roundabout and some of these other items in the sense of like how feasible / when it comes to like economics and stuff, that one was like, oh, the cost might have not been as much compared to other items. And so kind of thinking of that as a perspective too is.
You haven't had to negotiate with CDOT.
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, that was a CDOT thing, and that takes years.
Pay the extra cost, the upgrade, and now they build
Them all over.
all over. But I mean, Grand Junction had some of the earliest ones. We certainly did not invent roundabouts in Western Colorado, but it was a big deal when we
Yeah.
pulled that off and paid a lot of money to CDOT at the time to get it. Now they probably act like it was their idea, but whatever, we don't care.
Sounds like a little bit.
We
So
have it. That's
both,
all that matters.
Todd and Kathy, you were part of this 2006, right? Is there anyone else at the table that was, or Peter?
I was not on P and Z, clearly. I don't know if I was on Hark. and I don't have any clear recollections of participating, sad to say.
I think some of the historic preservation things have been implemented. The annual training, for instance. And updating the guidelines has been done.
But what I don't see on the annual training is it says for boards and commissions. The annual training is just for Hark.
Right.
P and Z doesn't get it anymore, and I don't know if town council gets it. I think
Or how they would,
what
yeah.
we were trying to do then and that we've drifted away from is foster more interaction between council, P and Z and Hark, and even something like C-Case or whatever when we could. And also the Ecology Commission. Back then, the word sustainability was a dirty word, and we could not have that on our list of things to do at Ecology Commission. And we couldn't work on those things. We had to work on wildlife or stuff like that. It's very different today. That's now, a high priority that's not presented here. But there was more of an effort to keep all the boards and commissions knowing what everybody else was doing and cross, even we met with Parks and Rec and worked on things together. And now we're like all siloed is the way I feel about it now. And I don't know that that's to our best. I've always wanted to be a dark sky community. I'm one of the worst violators, but I've always wanted that. And we've made zero progress, I would say. We might have even gone backwards on that one.
Land use protection, I think, has been pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, this was 2006, therefore we're looking ahead at the valley floor.
Yeah.
But
the valley floor was kind of in progress because we finished it in 2007. It's not like going back to the 86 master plan or the 96 attempt at a master plan where the valley floor was a distant future thing.
right,
We were already,
it was in our sights.
we were already, I think, in the condemnation procedure when we finished this plan. So it's, there's a lot of things that have changed in 20 years as they should. And we were seeing a lot of wild ideas for the hillside. And now the hillside has been resolved, which is pretty amazing. And has been resolved very much like what we hoped for in like 1988 or 89 when we did that little master plan. It came out finally, we went long enough that we got a pretty good solution, because back then we had people, wanting to buy existing houses on Willow and bulldoze them and put huge roads all over the hillside. We were seeing those proposals on a regular basis. They were kind of amazing.
So moving to medium for a minute, public improvements, undergrounding of utilities. And when were the Spruce Park and Elks Park?
Oh, they were
They were
done
80s,
in
right?
the early 80s.
Yeah.
They were,
Exactly. Yeah. So that's not
and the River Park was early 80s. That was all
right.
done.
Set in motion.
Yeah.
Kristen,
Create a program incentives.
sorry.
Yes, Peter, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was gonna ask a question on the public improvements section just discussed. Kristen, do you have a sense or communication with Public Works to update the board on, or have them update the board on under their efforts along these lines, maybe?
We could
Undergrounding
certainly,
utilities?
we could certainly do that. And I know, as part of large town projects, certainly that's, part of that, but I can definitely get an update. And I really appreciate how each of you shares ideas for the next meeting's agenda during these meetings, because that lets us be able to be responsive to you. So great suggestion.
Yep. It feels like it's been a while since we had face-to-face with Public Works. As a P&Z member, I don't know if we have since Karen
Oh, wow. Okay,
retired.
Exactly.
great.
And
But,
that is a major major gap, in my opinion, of our process.
Keep
Go
going,
ahead.
Peter.
Sure. I'm going to jump back to high urban design. Angela,
good.
were you involved landscaping design guidelines?
No,
Do you do you want to champion that? Does somebody else want to champion that?
I think it has. I mean, there was some aspirations here that never happened. Including dark sky, as far as I'm concerned, major holes. And when I'm thinking, rather than trying to squint our eyes and see this, which is really difficult, that perhaps we take each of the categories and go through what the aspirations were for what to get done first and what to kind of let slide, and reformulate this a little bit so we can actually talk about what has been
You wanted to be
accomplished.
like, basically, if it was the urban design, have all these kind of sections and
Right.
put them in, yeah.
Yeah, so we have design guidelines for landscaping over in high and medium. We've got, land use code guidelines. And then over in lower category, an educational program for planting. Never happened at any level. And we're facing an aging, urban canopy of trees, and we gotta figure it out or we're not gonna have any.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a whole category that Hark doesn't address. They just worry about the building. I've gone to several Hark meetings where I've said, I'm here to represent the site. It's a little soapbox up, I'm sorry. Anyway, and there's no one capable of really chiming in on that at all. So I think
Wonderful.
that's a major gap, but I'm just using that as one example of all of these. The affordable housing is another one that there's progress, but are we making any over the time? So those are things that would be helpful, I think, maybe to all of us to chime in on a little more comprehensively. Yeah.
That's next.
Kathy or
Todd should.
Well, I
go.
was gonna jump on what Peter said about Public Works and the impact of infrastructure on what we have to look at going forward for land use. Thinking
Example?
back to 2006 and where we were with Valley Floor and open space and a lot of that was the community's priority. Affordable housing was on there, but the priority was open space. That's shifted. But, and we're running into that in some of the, like, Chair 7 planning and Car Hinge. And it's, where's the priority and what do we then incorporate into the master plan and then the land use code to facilitate that? Wastewater is going to be interesting, but it's a very different prospect than it was 4 years ago when I was on council. Because things have changed for the better, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but look regionally, look at all the fires, look at, we've got water. But what happens if one of our major facilities gets hit by something? We see that right now with, the closure up at the Bridal Veil end, just for maintenance, and what does that do to what's going on up the hill here? It's tough. And as it gets drier, which every climate scientist says it's going to do, it comes around in lots of different ways too that affect the community. HOAs can't get fire insurance. They're all in tier 10, which is the highest rating, despite the fact that the town of Telluride is fairly well protected. But an insurance adjuster sitting in Memphis doesn't have that. So is that something that we have to put into our, not only our affordable housing, but our community awareness of things that we need to do in this master plan?
So Kathy and then Sherb.
I was just gonna say, when, in 2006, we were only 6 years into this drought that's probably not gonna end anytime soon, if ever. And we have shrunk the amount of Kentucky bluegrass that a private home can install. But I mean, I think by now we should have much more strict and, like the time period. We had 3 to 5 years that everyone had to phase out of their solid fuel burners for the most part. We need to do that about outdoor watering, because we're not, the water's called right now. That's why there's no water in the fish pond, and that's whatever. They're, the people in Nuclear Natarita that have the oldest water rights are calling them. And so this is super serious. The fact that anybody has one blade of Kentucky bluegrass is kind of
Is
sad.
vanity.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
call it.
it's, and then like.
Except for a
in July,
park,
we're
which
really
is where-
sorry to lose all of our big old trees, and we haven't replaced them consistently with the right species of new trees. It's, and most of the trees that get planted in everyone's landscape plan that's approved by HARC, and they all die. That's in my neighborhood. All the new construction is surrounded by cute little dead trees.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Well,
well, some
the
of
other
them
thing-
are that tall, but they're
Just to
dead.
add on to what you're saying, Kathy, is there's a new wildfire code on the state level that is going to basically wipe out any landscape that's between houses, because you have only 6 feet, 3 feet on either side for a setback, and you can't plant anything within 5. So in our tiny lots, what does that mean? In terms of a overall community plan, because that relates to climate change and our heat island, which we don't usually think of at this altitude, but we're going to have to. So, Sherb.
I was just wondering if the purpose of this exercise that we're doing right now is to go through this and find where we were successful, or find where we need to continue
Or missed opportunities as well,
pulling,
yeah.
pulling information off of here to put into the new plan because it's still relevant.
So
And
that's a really good question. I'm wondering, are you saying we should rank these now?
no.
Right.
Well, I was wondering about the ranking system though. Is it low, medium, and high ease of doing something, or importance?
To the
Was there a
tenant.
point system used to?
Your point, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
And that was
your
the
point.
question, yeah, no, and this was definitely an exercise of like, this is what was prescribed in that appendix of deliverables. Bringing this to the table and not doing a huge summary of the 55 pages and going through that. This deliverable is fantastic, because it was like at the end of the time of them figuring out what the master plan was going to be, they decided, you know what, we think these are of value at that time and space, let's enact them and put this rating scale. And so for us, it's really, well, do we think that these points were valid? Like, this is the open-ended question is, do we think that these were the appropriate ratings? What was accomplished? Do we think inside of reading between the lines of this synopsis, were there missed opportunities? And it's hard to tell what was valued at that time. And I
I
think
think
that's
maybe what we need to do now is, are these still valid?
Yeah.
Well, I also think 2006, this is the review. Is there some sort of audit? I mean, I know we have Kathy, but I mean, is there some
Yes,
sort of?
Was here.
Yeah.
It's essentially what we're doing is an audit of, did we do these?
Exactly, but I mean, we're kind of bouncing around going from low to medium, but I mean, I wonder if we could just go through and like put a date. Oh, yes, we did. We finished the roundabout in 2027. Oh, yes, we did do the parking,
Yeah.
and just kind of.
That's why I was thinking we would rate it by these subgroups like urban design,
Yes, I
land
like that.
use, historic preservation, and go through so that we could see the comprehensive list and then do exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think each of us probably have a little bit of different perspective on each of these topics. And it's, as you can see, a really good way to engage us all in where do we want to go? What we still think is valuable that didn't get done? What do we feel differently about, as Todd was saying? Where are the gaps? What are the success stories?
And to loop back to your question, I mean, just to get more input as we've gotten from others, I mean, do you have any current input currently, even from your kind of clarifying question? I mean, do you have anything that kind of stands out to you? Or, I mean, you've been here since, you said 2008. I mean, are there certain items here that kind of stand out, or like we said, missed opportunities that you would like to see moving forward?
Is that a question to everybody?
Sure. I mean, she was asking kind of that clarifying question, and I haven't really heard much from her on that subject, so I kind of wanted to see.
A lot of the place that people talk to me about government is affordable housing, and I think it's just still really hard, and it is on that list first thing. So that does stand out to me, that I think there's been a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And yet it's so many people for various reasons can't stay here because of housing still.
Okay. No, I appreciate
Charles, do you want to
Can
add?
can I ask a question here
yeah.
just
You have
related to that?
Please.
If Ben, if you have a sense since 2004, as it's described in the first bullet on high affordable housing, where we are on that hoped for by 2020, 300. If we got halfway there, did we get a third of the way there? Does anybody have an idea?
Peter, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I could easily give you all an update, both in terms of what transpired before 2020, but then also in terms of proposed projects or projects in the pipeline that will address needs identified in that regional housing needs analysis. So we can do a summary of that as well. I don't have the numbers in the top of my head, but I can easily pull those.
Yeah, I think that would give us some perspective.
And that was one of the questions before, Brent, like we wanted to engage with you guys, and also this was a very small audit of at least what the content was, but per our conversation, we were interested in pulling that information, but we'll take a little bit more time and resources. So very open to doing that.
See what the real number is, but
Yeah.
Over that 16-year period, I know we were adding 10 to 12 units a year for most of that, and we've had some bigger projects. So we probably hit around 200 out of the 300, and it's 400 too few. Yeah, to your previous question, I'm looking at this not so much at the individual projects, but what worked and what didn't, and why didn't it? And a lot of it was, that may have been the priority when the plan was written, but something changed.
Like the
And-
Great Recession.
Yeah.
For example, or COVID, or a lot of different things.
Right, interruptions.
Well, and like we've been talking about the environmental changes that have
Mhm.
become crystal clear in that time.
Yeah, I think,
Doing a Lift 7 plan in 2007.
yeah,
So, I mean,
oh boy.
and that was maybe not the first one. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember. I think there was one
Yeah.
before that. And they always explode spectacularly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no reason to
Yeah.
think it won't happen again.
Yeah,
It's still running.
yeah, yeah. And there's still some of the same neighbors down there that will happily fight to the death with a fleet of lawyers around them.
Lee Shay,
Yes.
on a way.
Well, I'm looking at the list and a lot of them are still valid and still, I think important. And some can just be, obviously checked off, like the implementation of a roundabout or the plaque system.
Underground
Like that.
utilities.
Yeah, some can be maybe replaced, but I think some will still remain on the list, but maybe a different priority.
I like how specific in some ways this is, because we can go back and check just how well we did at implementation. I would say that the land use code and building stuff is only part of a comprehensive plan. Otherwise, it's not comprehensive.
Mhm.
So I would encourage us to really think, as they did here, about all those different subjects, because it is a cultural as well as a physical environment, as well as, the community aspect is in there. Affordable housing being a pretty important piece of that. So all the previous 7 topic items that you presented for roundtables, this is a really good check-in point for those. Say, this is what we thought we could do in 2006 by 2020. And this is maybe our way of saying, and helping sort of say where we are with those and the missed opportunities. I don't think we can't go back and say what was missed, but we can say what's still, there's still a need for
Yeah.
moving forward, that assuming that we all still agree that these are valid. We can still add some things, but this, I think, is a real good check-in point. Kathy.
I don't know if you're really utilizing all the knowledge that's on the town staff. When James was in the planning department before he went to Denver and then came back, he had it's not that long ago, you were on the
Right.
board. He had this whole presentation that he can probably give to you all, or give maybe to the current housing staff as well, or give it to our consultants about how much money, incentive money there was that you could stack up to build an EDU. And it was a pretty good presentation, and,
Nice.
some of the permit rates and some of the tap fees have changed, but it's probably making it, also construction prices have gone haywire. But that was really valid, and we were quite serious about that before he left. Amy Levick and I made progress just kind of on our own, meeting at the library with realtors about trying to get the empty second units, not deed restricted units, but just the empty second units in some way. Do you want to rent it for ski season because you're never here? Do you want to rent it for the summer because you're only here for ski season? Do you want to, loan it out to one of the nonprofits, all of whom have people coming in, whether it's a coach for the kids skiing, or whether it's someone to direct the thing at TAB, or whether it's someone coming to teach at AHA. We were making real progress, and then I don't even know if it was COVID, something happened that blew it up. But there really is interest there, and I think
Yeah.
there's potential there. And I love walking in Butcher when it's really crowded and going right to the front of the line and ordering my food.
Mhm.
And I think that we can create a program where I'm walking right in front of people that I know have a lot of money in private jets, and I'm just like, no, that doesn't matter here. So I think that there's some of this we've worked on in the past, and it's not that long ago, and we can bring it right back and pick it up again.
Can I add something?
Yep, Peter.
Looking at the right column, the high one under land use, and Kristen, I see working on amendments to the land use code for residential and commercial uses. And I know I have been a part of amendments to the land use code, design guidelines at various times. It would be helpful, I think, to some board discussion or to hear from your departments on if the land use code feels like it's healthy, if you have a healthy list of things you would like the board to review for amendment and things like that. Just that's a curiosity, and I think a worthy topic of the board.
No, absolutely. And, big picture, Peter, that is going to be the focus of this board. Once we complete the comprehensive plan, is we're going to do a full land use code update. But shorter term, staff is making a list of higher priority, more urgent land use code updates that may need to be implemented prior to the completion of the comprehensive plan. So definitely full code update later. Some things may have to happen sooner, and I could fill you in on a few of those later in this meeting. But great suggestion, Peter, and we can certainly update on the more urgent. And then I look forward to working with all of you on that comprehensive piece, and Todd was speaking to that as well. This is the first step in that big update. Thank you.
I think this might be as far as we can go with this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna push this
You
along.
really prompted big discussion.
Yeah, and so
We need to continue this.
Totally, and I hate to give you guys homework and it's not as required, but with giving you guys that index, I would be really intrigued to touch base with you guys later on. If you do read through whatever knowledge you have of what has been done, we will be
Right.
doing our own audit as well, but would appreciate your input and what you see missing, et cetera. So,
And we'll continue the conversation in
Yeah.
September, or we would just to kind of wrap this piece. We would then send those to you by email, or are we gonna bring them to the next meeting? What's the process for getting that information?
I prefer not like lots of email, like to track. It might be nice to either, like maybe at the meeting would be a great way to do it, because then we're all hearing each other versus, lots and lots of generation. Otherwise, perhaps if you want to write on the document you have your input and hand that to us, that might be an easier way to get without you doing a lot of work, us to get your feedback before then, and we could compile it. So whichever way you feel, again, to Ben's point, I don't know about homework. This board works so hard. Up to you how you want to approach that. You're-
Okay, let's move on and we'll come back to that as we wrap
Yeah,
up. How
cool.
about that?
So next slide, just a quick excerpt. Currently, the comprehensive plan is in its first stage and is focused on engaging with the community to see if they still connect with these three values that we've kind of targeted, connected, authentic, and sustainable, with the intent to tie these core values to these 5 elements that we consider pivotal in maintaining those values, which are economy, community, environment, infrastructure, and housing. So, from our last conversation on the last slide, we're kind of tying in those, deliverables and what might have been valued at that time, and then now putting it towards this new comprehensive plan as we think about that and have that in the forefront of our mind. So this slide is kind of process and issues then versus now. As we brought, issues brought forward during the Master Plan 2006 process, which you think were valid, missed opportunities can be improved or further built on. We've actually kind of talked this over quite extensively, so I'll probably move through that, but that was kind of the intention of the conversation. This graphic down here right now is our current kind of logos, icons that we're working on, and we've added in this little question mark of, talking to you guys, are there opportunities that we can kind of add to as we move on? And so this is kind of a very quick tying up of everything, but we appreciate all of your input. We're wanting to see if there's any focal points that we can focus on. So current perspective of Telluride, where we've come from and where we could possibly go. We're hoping to hear opinions or thoughts on dreams, fears, aspirations, and opinions from the commission as a planning department, opportunities we should try to leverage to benefit the community as we look to the future where we can all call this valley home. So I think this is kind of a brief one to kind of wrap up the conversation, but more of a candid convo of where staff and the commission feel where we are today and what they would hope or fear not to see. And I had small conversations on the side with folks, even 5 to 10 years from now, what Telluride could possibly be. And hopefully this comprehensive plan can help, sustain and build off and create a better community, or sustain it and keep it as is. But would like to hear kind of your opinions and thoughts.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
This is the implementation from 2006, is that
Yes.
correct? Because
Correct.
it's not labeled. Okay.
Yep.
Just to be sure.
Mhm.
And what we just saw in the low, medium, and high.
That was a summation of that list.
Okay, so all of that is in this.
Correct.
So this is back by category.
Correct.
That he,
This was by priority.
by,
Correct.
yeah, the radius.
I just
yeah.
want to make sure everybody knew where we were
Super.
at.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just have to say, I don't think you're asking too much of this board. Hark's homework can be astronomical when they have 4 to 5 projects and a night to review. But we're not seeing a lot of a lot of project review right now. And so you need to be asking what you want from us. Don't say we're given so much, because compared to past decades on this board, we have not, and we need to be very diligent right now.
Excellent.
So ask us for what you want. Give us homework.
I personally would like everyone to go through the content and do physical notes. You can surmise it how you wish to if you want to do a type up. But when we do return, or if you want to stop by our office and hand in that copy and have a conversation, but being able to see your physical notes, what you think worked, what didn't, marking it up, if it was complete, that'll be helpful in data points for us. So I would love nothing more to see 6 packets, 7 packets.
Do you have this in a Word document?
So we have a PDF form, which is basically the whole 2006 master plan. So it's in a PDF. I could transform it into a document if you would like, and then that way you can type in Word and then send it back.
That's where I was.
I can very much do that
It might
easily.
be very.
What about just this?
Yeah.
That's fine too. Yeah, if you were to put comments and stuff, we can scan them later on.
No
and-
room.
Yeah, yeah. So cool.
If
okay.
there's time, I would love to hear other people's comments in the next meeting, only because I learned so much from you guys, your history, as far as like what's happened and what's not. So depending on how much feedback we have.
Well, I think for long-range planning, we need to take the time.
Yes.
So I think most of us are
And then what,
on that.
do we have any projects looming on the horizon?
I don't know if there will be any sort of conceptual design discussions for September, but later in the fall, some of the larger town projects will start to come before you for those conversations. But I don't believe it'll be in time for September. I will double check on that and obviously put it on the agenda if that is something that's ready to go. But we're kind of trying to figure out the timing for everything, so.
And then should we expect extra meetings or meetings with the consultants in the next few months? Because having those dates and knowing when
Yes.
to try to adjust our travel or work if we can.
For sure. I'm trying my best because we don't have project reviews during these blocks of time, trying my best to utilize this time and get the consultants, like next time the GIS Ben will be here with you in this meeting, probably virtually. Try not to add at this moment. There will be a lot when the consulting teams are here in terms of in-person. If we have some stakeholder engagement roundtables, love to have the participation of the commission, but I'll try to stick to these blocks of time. We may need one extra block of time sometime in October, November to do a P&Z like annual training, like, the basic training that we do every year. And I don't know if we'll be able to fit it into these meetings because they're such robust discussions. So that's the only extra I can think of at this moment in terms of meetings.
Okay. And you should know, and everybody on this board, that there was, I think probably for this 2006 master plan, we were meeting twice a month. We met on the second, I guess we were meeting on the first Thursday for long range planning, and on the third Thursday, we were still on third Thursdays then for project review. So that's kind of the level of commitment I think we all have to making this happen, but we just need to know so we can plan work and travel around that.
Excellent. As project reviews come in, I will keep that in the back of my mind of whether we need to think about 2 distinct meetings.
Well, I'm thinking.
But
because
right now
there's-
we'll use this as work sessions this time together for
Yeah,
the
I
next
was-
couple months.
I was thinking about what you said, Kathy. It looks like we have September, and perhaps we should do a mid-September and a mid-October meeting. With it spurred so much discussion that I think we need a work session among ourselves, and there isn't really, and maybe it's not around this kind of a table,
Mhm.
because this is a formal setup.
Yes.
Maybe it's more of we bring our homework and we sit down and we go through each
Sure.
of these, because we need to dive in. We can't just, be this sets us up for kind of a reactionary
Mhm.
setup. And I think we need more of a in-depth discussion.
Sure.
But this format doesn't really help.
I could see that, and especially with this particular homework assignment, how valuable that would be. I could see having, I don't want this to be every month because there will be these other engagement sessions that we'd love your help with, but I think for September, the week, 2 weeks before this meeting, maybe we can plan a time, and it seems like this time frame works for everyone. I don't want to move it into daytime hours if that's going to keep people from their work. So could we meet at this time 2 weeks before, whatever that date is? And then we could put it in the library, we can put it up in the Telluride
So our
room.
next regular meeting is the 25th of September. We go 2 weeks before that, it's the 11th of September.
So if that were to work, that would be the easiest way to schedule if this is a time that everyone's free.
And those who can make it, great.
Mhm.
I'm not sure it's necessarily, does it have to be a formal meeting? Let me ask you that.
It can be kind of like a retreat.
Well, you could do it as a retreat, but it would technically be a special meeting that would have to be open to the public.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
have to
Absolutely.
record
Yeah.
it, so it wouldn't be able to necessarily be in a room at the library because it would have to be agendized.
Right,
Mhm.
that's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. How about everybody
On
else?
the 11th, I'm out of town, but if you had it by
If we
Zoom,
had
I
your
could do Zoom.
information.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
That was just an
looking,
idea for a date, but
Yeah.
looking at October, our meeting is on the 23rd.
It would just be a special meeting of the
Yeah,
board. Yeah.
special meeting, yes. And then there's October 9th. I won't be in town.
Mm.
But we could do that only if need
We
be.
can
And I know
also-
you're out of town and,
I'm out of town for about.
We,
yeah,
for all
Okay.
of October.
yeah. So maybe we get that done on the 11th
maybe this
That's good.
September. Okay,
and we work through some of this.
great.
Yes, Tom.
I want to comment on Ben's, dreams, fears, aspirations, opinions. Having been here 30 years, I get a lot of people coming up and say, boy, things have changed, haven't they? Yeah, they have and they haven't. And what I'm proud of is that Telluride still feels unique. It's still a place where families raise kids and, it's alive. And looking forward through the next 20 years, I hope that the outcome of this comprehensive plan puts us in a similar position. Yeah, things won't be the same, but will it feel like we've maintained those elements, including the vision, and some of it's Hark, and some of it's us, and some, it's lots of different things, but it has to be comprehensive, as Kathy keeps reminding us.
Love that.
Yeah, we
Okay,
can
so
go
it sounds-
back to the 1980s anytime you want to, and but we'll all be like screaming in about 20 minutes. I mean, it's like turning off your phones and they don't work at all. And it's like the only heat you have is firewood and a bunch of stuff. And you don't have you have rabbit ears TV. There's no videos or streaming or dish
Distractions.
antennas or any of
There's
that.
social media.
Yeah, there's no social media.
There's
Yeah.
Roma.
There's
The
Roma, yeah, everybody, yeah. There were 3 films a week and everybody went to every single one of them because that was somebody else's heat. It was very important to figure out the heating. We didn't have natural gas. You had propane and very few residences had propane, just commercial buildings. Some of them had propane.
And electric heat was really expensive.
Yeah, it was disproportionately expensive to what it is today. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we can go there every time we have a really good power outage. But now we have all those battery backups and solar power to fix your telephone, so it doesn't really work anymore like it used to. But yeah, we can go there and then everybody can see how cool it was.
The other thing in terms of homework that I've talked to Kristen and Ben about is actually doing the map exercise that
Mhm.
Kathy
Yes.
has been
Yes.
talking about. and you need that on a big table.
We can bring that on the
Yeah.
11th.
And maybe it's in the green room.
On the 11th
Or-
without me.
Oh, yes, no. And should we, just to ask you, I just threw that date out. How long are you away, Kathy?
I'm gone for a bit. Hang on, let me get to that month.
I just want to make sure it's not easily
I'm leaving
possible
on
to
the
find a better
11th.
date.
It's the day I leave and I come back on the 19th. So I'm missing the 11th and the 18th both of,
If we wanted a Thursday.
if we wanted.
If we did
others.
the week before, it'd be like you said, the first Thursday and then third Thursday.
Yeah, fourth.
Or the Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, I don't want to make a complicated scheduling, but I also, don't want to pick one date and have it not work for everyone.
Yeah,
If there's
I
a
know.
date that works for everyone,
Yep.
let's do that.
I'm not here on the 11th either.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
So let's abandon the 11th. That's 2 out of
Before?
7. Day
That's
before
good.
that or day before that week, would that be?
I'm coming back into town on the 11th. So I
Okay,
could make that. And then it's Blues and Brews that weekend and
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the 10th is, Todd wouldn't be here. That's the Dishwashers Were Kings premiere, which is kind of a reflection back to everyone's, beautiful, perfect old Telluride.
Huh.
And it was really good,
Oh.
but,
Is this,
it's a film. It's a film they've been working on for several years.
Oh.
They've shown it a few times.
have not
It's
seen
made
it.
by locals.
Yeah.
It's about locals.
So that's the
It's
week
funky.
before, so that.
Yeah.
That's the 10th. Well,
cool.
next week, you mean,
Yep.
I can, let's see, I have to go see what I'm doing.
Next week on Thursday, throw that out there.
Next
Same
week
time.
on the 4th, I could do it. Are you here?
Anybody?
Todd's gone.
no, I'm here, but Heidi Red is giving her author
I
talk.
know.
Oh,
She's
no.
back on the fourth.
Nope, we're not gonna overlap with local important events. We don't want to
Okay.
do that. Day before, Wednesday?
It's, no, I have Rotary Club, you have Rotary Club, and I'm supposed to bring the appetizers, so I should miss it.
You can drop them off and come on over here
Yeah.
or make double
Well,
and
no, it's
leave
in
them.
it's in Mountain Village.
Or make double and leave them here.
Exactly.
Well, we could consider that. We can,
And your other option is to stick to our regular date, but that means we're not having that extra one that we're talking about.
or
But
we could do
all these.
What about Tuesday, the 2nd?
That's town council.
Oh, that's
day.
town council and the.
And I'm
daytime.
sorry, that's the 9th, but
Yeah.
that's the day, that's next Tuesday after a long weekend. I
Yeah.
don't think it'd be possible
After
to
Labor
get
Day.
an agenda
Okay.
published.
We can't
Yeah.
notify it for 1 week or less, because
It's
I
too
think
soon.
anytime there's
It's too
3
soon.
or more of us, we have to do the legal
Yeah.
notification.
Yep.
I think we should institute a live calendar where we can align these quickly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we can send out a poll if that's better. I was just
Sure.
trying to find a time. Sometimes it has worked with this group to just look at our
Hash it
calendars
out.
together, but I could send out some options and then Angela, you can help make the final call on date.
Yeah.
Or if it seems like we can't get enough people together, we could
Well,
wait till
we
the.
at least get this
date of the
process
meeting.
started.
Sure.
Then we can do at the regular meeting, we can make additions and more discussion.
Great.
Time for more discussion. Tuesday, the 16th, I mean, you can throw out all kinds of
I know.
dates here, but so who is here on the 11th? Okay.
We
So
can
there's
save the map. The map is the saving part. Just want to save the map.
I
for
think the map,
That's
let's
fine.
say for the
Did
regular
Peter,
meeting.
did Peter
Yeah.
vote on the 11th?
It's regular meeting.
Yeah.
Great
Okay.
plan.
So we
Okay.
could still, the four of us could still get together. We
With our
got
homework.
some history and
Mhm.
some here.
And everyone who
Could still
can't.
at least start.
Turn in your homework ahead of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that all right with everybody?
Perfect.
I have a question about the homework. Are we, for me, new to this position and am I just giving my impressions on these things? Am I asking around to my
It's
little
almost an
pod?
open-ended assignment. Conceptually, if you don't have institutional knowledge of some of those that were high level done, I think there's a range here where some people might read through and say, you know what, I actually was part of that, or I knew that was going on. Yes, this is when it happened. Here's the dates. This is the process. I thought it was great. Other people can be like, I read this whole index and this was my impression, and here's a type up a
Mm.
5,000 page essay on how I thought this was not the right priorities, or how we can, leverage certain ones. So open-ended, do what you wish. Please don't turn me a 5,000 page essay.
So for instance, number one, annexation. We haven't had that come up for a long time.
We've
We've done all those little ones.
Yeah, but what I mean is, this was developed at a time when there were some serious discussions about Lawson Hill. Maybe there are some more. There were other kinds of annexations that I have no history of, but you folks do, obviously.
Yeah.
But, and how much controversy they were, what the issues were that we want to hear about.
Yeah.
That some of us don't know that much about, is all I'm saying.
And I think it's also looking at, where do you think we are now? Maybe we think, maybe we built the roundabout. I mean, that's a tangible thing we can see, but maybe we've outgrown it. I mean, we haven't, and we can't outgrow it because there's no more room. But what if we built a water treatment plant, which we have done in this time frame, but if it's not big enough now? So it's like we did it, but it's still a high priority because now we have to do it again. And so we did a lot of employee housing. We didn't quite probably reach our goal, but we still need to do more. But the discussion is probably, what kind of housing do we need to do and how do we make it affordable? Because that's the big complaint, is we have affordable housing and our employee housing, but it's not affordable.
This water treatment thing's come up a few times. When you're talking about water treatment, are you talking about the upstream of the use treatment or the treatment of it after it's,
I think we call
Yes.
one wastewater and one water.
okay, so it's, because there's also wastewater
Oh, yeah.
coming up on the
Water.
horizon.
Water in the river, the quality of water in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to-
Okay, so just kind of, Lishay, did you have something to add?
No, I guess I'm a little confused if this was done in 2006 and we were talking about water supply then being a high thing, and now we're 2025 and we're like, oh dear, we have a wastewater treatment plan. I mean, it's like, what happened? Like, what did we not do? And what can we do differently? Because I mean, it was built in the
And maybe we
70s.
don't have enough information,
Yeah.
so therefore we ask for it.
Exactly, yeah.
on water supply, we added the whole,
So I guess that's the different, yeah,
that's supply.
supply.
On the out, on the other end,
Wastewater.
we're still
Yeah, it's
fighting
kind
the
of-
same old fight.
yeah.
And it was not, 20 years ago, the plant was not as old as it is. It was not processing as much wastewater as it is now.
Yeah.
And so it was,
Regulations weren't as tight.
and it was a little bit stressed, but nothing like it's stressed.
But it's still a
today.
high priority in
It
2006.
wasn't, I don't even see it on here.
Nope. It isn't.
I guess I was
Wastewater is
looking
not
at
on there.
supply. I was like, you're-
Supply is not wastewater.
got it.
It's on here, it's gonna be under like public infrastructure, because that's more what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be a good exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
so-
penciling in the 11th?
Yes, we are. So,
And that will be. an
it'll be at
informal
5:30.
meeting.
Yeah, probably a green room if there's just 4 of us.
It has to be recorded. It has to,
And you can't record a green room?
well, I mean,
It's-
it needs to be a public hearing, so there can be public engagement. So public comment.
It's a work session. It's not a public hearing.
Well, that's what this is, but this is also a public meeting. So you're saying
Right.
you want to have behind closed doors discussions?
No,
She wants it not to be at these big formal desks.
Okay, well, it's gonna be technologically challenging to record and do minutes for that if it's recorded on a handheld device.
Yep.
And it won't be video recorded. So,
fine.
well, it
But
might be.
we just
fine.
wanted
I
to
can set up
For
tables.
put
purposes.
tables here and move
Yeah,
the microphones.
Yeah.
'Cause I was
Yeah,
just
we can
thinking,
do it here
well,
too.
Tables right there, so
Yeah, yeah.
We
could
can't
do
move
that.
the microphones because they're all
Hardwired.
hardwired. I'm just saying, for recording purposes,
This works.
this is the best way to do it.
Yeah, well, we need to overcome that technological situation. So I'll put that in your guys' court to talk about.
What's the Irish pub that you go downstairs? You were hoping to go down
Yes.
there and still record it and be public. That's what you were saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is not
I get
intended
it,
to
I
be
get
a
it.
private meeting at all. It's
Yeah.
intended to be a work session. Anyone of the public
Yeah.
can come and contribute. This is not something,
can
we
you
want
get
full
on the
transparency. We're just dealing with a building interior that's not facilitating that. So
We've
we
had
just need to.
a press, we've had the ecology commission in there with like 7 members, a member of the press, 2 guests, and probably 3 town staff, all in that little room.
Same for open space.
And just as a clarifying question, I don't think that was the intentions, but if we were in the green room, technically that we would have to have the doors open.
That's
so
fine.
That way people could,
Yeah,
come and
that's
go
fine.
is what I'm.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
Can you guys hear me? Make a
Mhm.
suggestion? Is the council chambers there where you guys are? Has it ever been configured just with a table generally where the applicants and where staff are sitting with chairs around it? Would that suffice?
I
Do you
think that's what Kristen was thinking, that we might add on to these with still access to the,
Is moving the furniture
Microphones.
at all possible, or is it very much locked down? No, just the desks and before the board there, that open portion of the room.
well, I'm going to task them with figuring it out. How about that?
I mean,
Because the desire is for us
just to look at a map.
to be able to,
Mhm.
yeah, do a kind of a roundtable discussion so that it's more fluid.
Then you should probably hold a retreat in like the library or something like that. We cannot move the microphones. They're all hardwired.
Right,
even the
right.
ones on the
Get it.
tables. And.
Like I said, we don't need to really talk about it right now. You guys are going to work it out.
Yeah, staff will figure it out.
And thanks for your patience with us, Piper.
Yeah.
Ben just revealed a big hole in his Telluride education.
Uh-oh, yes.
The Irish pub downstairs. Yeah, it's obese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it wrong and then be judged, but I got judged regardless. What can we do?
Yeah. No, we want to recognize with Piper's concerns. We want to make sure that we're transparent, that we have a work session. That it also works for us through this process. So that's the intention, and we'll see if we can pull it off. How about that? So we have some homework, and for those of you who can't be here on the 11th, if you can contribute those, that would be great. We'll just mull them over and then we will review them again at our regular meeting. That was the 25th, is that right?
The regular meeting, yeah.
Yeah. Does that sound
Sounds perfect.
okay? Is there anything else that you need from us? Or are you gonna wrap up with something else?
I think there may have been like one more agenda item that was referring to,
Anticipated P and Z, are we done with the comprehensive?
yes,
Okay, let's
we
move on to the next one then, board and staff discussion, which is anticipated P and Z commission work session September through December, which we kind of talked about.
yes, actually, there
had
are a
something
couple
else?
of other topics that I just kind of want to mention, and
Yes.
this won't be necessarily September for both. It probably will just be one or the other. But 2 things. One is there was a project that was initiated when Ron Carls was on the team that I've finished up working with the consulting team at EPS, David Beecher and Brian Duffney. It's a multifamily and mixed-use residential employment generation. So the town was interested in considering the possibility of multifamily and mixed-use housing employment generation rate adjustment contained in our affordable housing requirements on development. Currently, it's a flat rate for the multifamily mixed use of 0.33 employees per multifamily mixed use dwelling unit. And the town wanted to have some research done to have the data necessary to consider potentially changing this to a formula that scales with the square footage of a unit instead. That research, that work study has been done. And now it's time to bring it to first P and Z, then town council for discussion and whether you want to recommend the outcome of that research as a possible revision to the land use code. So that would be one item I'd like to bring forward either in September or October to you, present it and have your input at that point. Second, this came up earlier in this discussion, the wildfire hazard mitigation piece. That is something that my team, Historic Preservation Planning and Building, are looking at carefully in terms of implications of the upcoming updates to the wildfire code to our land use code, to our design guidelines, and what those implications might be. So at some point in the not too distant future, I would like to sort of connect with both HARC, probably inside your official meetings, but as a mini work session, just to give you updates on, status, where those things stand, and where there may be implications for the land use planning side of
Is
our
that- Are you
programming.
anticipating that as a joint meeting?
I actually was just picturing, just for ease, perhaps doing a mini update work session, input session here, and then one with HARC versus trying to then have a meeting that brings the whole group together, at least at this stage. This is very early stages, but I want to loop you in because that is an extra something that's happening that will have, implications across.
And this is a statewide effort, right?
This is, yes. And so, so we're doing a lot of thinking, research in our department. And then I just want to make sure that communication opens early because we will have to make some decisions as we move forward. One example is our tree permitting, impacts that may resonate through, even though it's a code building, on the building code side of updates, it's still going to come through a number of other areas. So those are just two topics. Just want to apprise you. And I've already apprised you
Sometime
of
from September to December in that.
sometime between September and December, there will be work sessions, updates, conversations on those topics, as well as you already know from our last meeting, some of those town projects will start to hit your agendas as work sessions in the conceptual phases. So just heads up.
And which ones are those?
Right now, what I will do, I don't have specific dates and I don't want to say that something's coming forward in this calendar year and not be correct. So I will get an update
What are
after the
the
next town council meeting on that and be able to update you at our next meeting.
What are the projects?
Oh, there are projects, of the larger projects coming before the town that may, but again, not yet determined, may have elements that would need P and Z review. And, as examples, and again, I have to be careful. I don't want to get ahead of where projects are because they're in the very conceptual design phase. And town council is going to be looking at some updates at the meeting next on September 9th.
Are you saying you can't tell us what the project?
Oh, projects projects might include the Lift 7 project, there may be some PUD elements to some of these bigger town projects. So all the big ones that you're aware of may have elements that need to be discussed within the P and Z and decisions made, not yet determined. So Carhenge, Lift 7. I don't think the Shandoka project will have components that come here, but it might. So just know that there will be
Those
work
three
sessions as potentially.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the.
And sorry, not more specifics. I need my direction to come from my, our large projects team, which I only defer to them for timing and next
So-
steps. That's not our decision in our department.
So I just wanted to mention to folks, since those are the projects, that when you have conversations with people, to be very careful and to remain neutral.
Yes, thank you.
If you are neighbors of them, like I am, and some of your others might be,
Mhm.
that it's important to remain neutral because they will come to us.
Yeah.
Even though they're not active on our agendas, we have to be mindful that we may prejudice the
Mhm.
situation by being outspoken or opinionated or appear to be biased in any way. So That's where I was going with it.
Thank you for that. That's so important, Angela. And I'm just trying not to get ahead of my colleagues in other departments.
No, and we're not expecting
timing, so
timelines. We know
that's
things
all.
don't, yeah.
Yeah,
And they're still fluid. Who knows where it's going? I just wanted to be sure that since that was going to be coming
thank you.
eventually, that everybody was kind of heads up on that.
Excellent.
We will have a training, hopefully, in October, but you're gonna have some people who are gone.
Maybe November then. Is everyone here in November perhaps? I mean, happy to
Yeah.
look for the right
Would it be our
time.
regular meeting in November?
It could be earlier and a separate retreat kind of training, no
That was
problem.
one thing we had talked about was, is it a separate day? Is it the same day, only earlier in the day? And outside of this venue? To have
Mhm.
council here. And I don't mean town council, but you're welcome to come. Kevin and Ally,
Uh-huh.
and to talk about quasi judicial versus legislative. Some of us have been through this. Some of us don't even need to come, but it's always a good review. We've had some instances where we have been things have been called up to council, sent back to us, and vice versa. There are some questions, I think probably a lot of us have on certain issues that are not cut and dried, right?
Mhm.
So it's our opportunity to ask questions and be better informed about what things can transpire. Even the public hearing process about who listens to what person when, who can contribute, just so that all of us are on the same page with that and not just spouting stuff. That if we have things to contribute, that we know when to do them, so we don't, you know, compromise the public hearing process. And because it's serious stuff. So it'll be interesting, but you know, serious, and that's what our business is. So, and we want to make time for it. Yep. So, I don't know, sounds like November.
That's great. And I can do a little poll and figure that out quickly so that you can all
Yeah.
get something on
Yeah,
your
and-
calendar.
Because we want to ask some other people here. In the past, we have had people come, right?
Nice.
That talk to us,
Yeah.
Yep.
that are not here,
No, for sure.
or not staff, actually.
Yeah.
Who are
Mhm.
consultants.
So-
That third party element can sometimes be very
Sure.
helpful.
Great. Thank you. So we'll plan that and I'll
And
work with
Sheriff
Angela.
has a question.
Yes.
It's more of a comment. Would it be possible to get some of the other people that were your peers when you did the master plan to come to any of these events and talk about that process?
I'd have to remember everybody who was on it then. Maybe, I don't know.
Couple no longer around
Right. Yeah.
when we're.
Some of them.
You think that, that's an interesting.
What's that?
It's a public meeting, so anyone can come. I think just from my perspective, I think, I don't know that I want the old guard informing what the new plan is. I think it's good that you guys are new and different. I think that's a benefit to the plan. So I feel like there's a fine line between looking at in the past, but also just like keeping the focus forward and not getting too many of the opinions and thoughts of what happened 20 years ago. So, but it is an open, I mean, that's why we have this space. So anyone from the public can come and give comment and participate.
Contribute.
I think there's a big cultural discussion underway in town about who we are as a culture. I see that there is some benefit to having some past discussions so that we know what we've lost. Is there any way to even retain that? Do we even want that? Right. So there's a certain amount of look back, but it doesn't constrain us.
I don't think it's looking back in general. I think it's who we chose to sit on this board. Like, we chose you 7. We didn't choose people who were on here when that first well, we have a couple overlaps. Like, I think
Been a
that-
mixed bag.
Yeah. So I just don't want you to feel like you need to lean too heavily on someone else's opinion because we appointed you in the seat.
Yeah, I mean, this master plan is going forward, Sheriff. So it's like, we're figuring out where we are now and where we want to be in 20 years, but things change a lot, but some countries plan for 50 years, like Japan. But I don't know if that works out anymore. So I don't think we can look and see if there's anybody in town that wants to come from back then, but I think it's probably more important to think about what are we now and where do we want to be?
Mhm.
And I think in the past, we're looking at the low, medium and high priorities of intentions. Right? And some of those intentions have served us and some of them didn't or haven't been realized. So from that standpoint, it's important to carry forward what we think is still valuable, but we also need to think about what in 20 years, a value that we may not have on the list that we want.
And that was part of my question. I don't want to add more homework, but maybe I should force all of you guys to write a 2,000-word essay on that part of.
You won't get in.
And I don't think we're gonna get it on, I don't think we're getting it on the record. People don't want to put their opinions in that sense. And I don't want, it's past my bedtime. But I would be intrigued and I really appreciate Todd's input in the sense of, from my short on the ground, not being here on vacation or here for a bike race, hearing the amount of chatter being negative and referring to the past and complaining, and hearing the couple of people say, we really love being here. These are the things that we want to uphold and push forward is like the big part that we really want to hear. And I think collecting that from the general public and engaging and hearing that part is like
That's the cultural discussion.
that is the big one. Yes. So
Yeah.
I'll wrap that up on that part. And I don't want to.
Great.
And then
Thank you,
just
Beth.
like Angela cautioned us and Kristen agreed about not talking about the Lift 7 project or the Lot L project or any of those concrete bricks and mortar things with friends and family. You can talk about long range comprehensive because it doesn't it affects the entire town or it affects an entire zone district. It's not just about your employee housing building or your street. You can talk to your friends about this. What are their aspirations? What are they not doing? Have they done a survey? They don't want to do a survey. Why? And then bring that back to these meetings and also put that in your responses when we have questions that we're supposed to answer or rate or whatever.
Okay, can we adjourn? Everybody
Okay,
good with
sorry.
that? All right. Let's adjourn unanimous consent without objections. That's what Jerry Green told him.